In 2024, Artemis 2 will take these four astronauts farther than any human has ever gone before. And it is only the beginning. This is why NASA has a plan to send more than 100 people to the moon in the next decade. Artemis 3 will land astronauts near the lunar South Pole, where NASA believes there may be water ice that can be used to sustain people on the moon, but they won't just be visiting for a few days like the Apollo astronauts. They will stay in a home base on the moon that will eventually become a city on the moon. And this is just step one of what NASA plans to accomplish with its Artemis moon missions. The Artemis 2 crew will fly into lunar orbit and then return to Earth, but the Artemis 3 crew will land on the moon and begin construction of the Gateway space station in orbit around the moon. This station will serve as a hub for missions going to the moon and Mars. This station will enable us to test technologies we need for Mars. We can use the Gateway to test life support systems and other technologies that we will need if we are going to survive on Mars for 2 years. And the goal of the Artemis missions is to have a permanent human presence on the moon. And NASA plans to do that by sending new crews to the moon every year beginning in 2024. That means we could have a dozen or more missions to the moon by the end of this decade. And each mission will involve a different crew of astronauts from all over the world. For example, the Artemis 3 crew will include astronauts from NASA, the European Space Agency, and the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. They will launch atop NASA's Space Launch System rocket, which is being built by NASA and will be powered by an engine built by Aerojet Rocketdyne. But the first stage booster for this rocket will be built by Boeing. And the Orion spacecraft, which will carry the astronauts to the moon, is being built by NASA and will launch atop the Space Launch System. So you can see that there are many parts of the Artemis program that are being built by private companies and government agencies from all over the world. So how are they going to pull this off? Well, the Artemis program is managed by NASA's Marshall Flight Center in Alabama. NASA has already awarded contracts to several companies to begin building parts of the Gateway space station. For example, SpaceX has been awarded a contract to build one of the modules for the station. This module will serve as a power and propulsion element for the station. Another company called Northrop Grumman has been awarded a contract to build another module for the station. This module will serve as a habitation module for the station. In addition to these 2 modules, NASA plans to add 3 additional modules to the station. One of these modules will be provided by the European Space Agency and will serve as a research laboratory for the station. The other 2 modules will be provided by Japan and will serve as a robotic space for the station. The Gateway station is scheduled to be launched in the mid-2020s. Once the station is complete, it will be located in a high lunar orbit. This orbit will allow the station to be visible from Earth and also allow for easy access to the surface of the moon. Now you might be wondering, why the moon? Why not go straight to Mars? Well, the moon is a much closer and easier destination for us to reach. It will allow us to test technologies that we will need for Mars and also allow us to gain experience living in space for long durations. By sending crews to the moon every year, we will learn more about how the human body adapts to living in space. We will also learn more about how to sustain ourselves in space for long durations. These are all things that we will need to know if we are going to successfully send astronauts to Mars. But some critics say that this is too expensive and we should focus on solving problems here on Earth. However, I believe that there is more to discover about our universe than we could ever imagine. And I believe that it is our destiny to explore and understand it. The Artemis program is the most ambitious space exploration program since the Apollo program. It is a program that will push the boundaries of human exploration and discovery. It is a program that will inspire future generations to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It is a program that will help us to better understand our place in the universe. For centuries, humans have looked up to the moon and dreamed of exploring its surface. In 1969, those dreams became a reality when humans first set foot on the moon. The Apollo program accomplished so much during its relatively short duration. But now it is time to go back to the moon and explore more than we ever did before. With the Artemis program, we will return to the moon with a new mission, a new determination, and a new crew. These astronauts will be the first to use the new Orion spacecraft and the first to fly on the new Space Launch System rocket. They will travel to the moon aboard the powerful Falcon Heavy rocket from SpaceX. Upon arrival, they will board the Lunar lander, which will take them down to the surface of the moon. Once there, they will explore the lunar surface and conduct scientific experiments. They will also plant the first seeds of humanity's return to the moon. These astronauts will be some of the most highly trained and experienced astronauts in history. They will be selected from a highly competitive pool of candidates and will undergo rigorous training before being cleared for flight. They will be a true representation of the best of humanity, the most intelligent, courageous, and determined individuals who are willing to risk everything to explore the unknown. We don't know what dangers may await them on the moon, but these astronauts will face them head-on with courage and determination. They will be pioneers, explorers, and scientists all in one. They will make discoveries that will change our understanding of the universe forever. They will be the first humans to set foot on the moon in more than 50 years. And they will do it in style. The new lunar lander is being designed to be sleek and efficient. It will be powered by a new engine that will allow it to land softly on the surface of the moon. Inside the lander, the astronauts will be comfortable and safe. They will have plenty of room to move around and work. And they will be able to communicate easily with each other and with Earth. When the astronauts are ready to return home, the lunar lander will take them back to lunar orbit, where they will transfer to the Orion spacecraft for the return trip to Earth. There they will splash down in the Pacific Ocean near San Diego, California. The entire mission is expected to take about 25 days. The Artemis crew will fly into lunar orbit and then return to Earth, but the Artemis 3 crew will land on the moon and begin construction of the Gateway space station in orbit around the moon. This station will serve as a hub for missions going to the moon and Mars. To support the Artemis program, NASA has already begun testing the Orion spacecraft and the Space Launch System rocket. Orion is scheduled to make an uncrewed test flight in 2014. If all goes well, Artemis 2 will launch in 2024. The first crewed test flight of the Space Launch System will follow in 2025. If all goes well, Artemis 3 will land astronauts near the lunar South Pole in 2025. These astronauts will spend about a week on the moon conducting scientific experiments and exploring the lunar surface. They will also begin construction of the Gateway space station. Subsequent Artemis missions will continue to build out the Gateway station and conduct scientific research on the moon. One of the most exciting aspects of the Artemis program is the opportunity to explore the lunar South Pole. This region of the moon is thought to contain vast reserves of water ice that could be used to support human life on the moon. Water could also be used to produce oxygen and hydrogen, which could be used as rocket fuel. This would make the moon a much more hospitable place for humans to live and work. Another exciting aspect of the Artemis program is the opportunity to conduct scientific research on the moon. The moon is a unique environment that is unlike anything we have on Earth. By studying the moon, we can learn more about the history of our planet and the solar system as a whole. We can also study the effects of living in space on the human body. This knowledge will be essential if we are ever going to send humans to Mars. The Artemis program will be a truly international effort. In addition to NASA, space agencies from around the world will be involved in the program. This includes the European Space Agency, the Japanese Space Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency. Private companies will also play a major role in the Artemis program. SpaceX has already been awarded a contract to build the first lunar lander that will be capable of carrying humans. Other companies such as Blue Origin and Dynamic will also be involved in the program. The Artemis program will be one of the most ambitious space exploration programs ever undertaken. NASA plans to send the first woman and the first person of color to walk on the moon, and it is happening sooner than you think. Thanks for watching, like and comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more videos. Till then, bye.